Have you ever forgotten important information right after learning it, or felt that no matter how hard you try, your mind simply can't store everything? While some people are born with the gift of photographic memory, you don't have to be discouraged by that. Let me explain something. Memory is like a muscle, and just as you can train your body to become stronger, you can also train your brain to remember details more effectively. Ayanokoji, when he was in the White Room, did exercises and tests to enhance his ability to memorize things. In this video, I'm going to show you techniques that will improve your ability to memorize anything. Before we start with the exercises, it's very important for you to understand what memory is and how the process of recording information happens. Memory is the process by which our brain acquires, stores, and retrieves information. When we experience something, our senses capture stimuli, like images, sounds, or smells, and the brain transforms this into electrical and chemical signals. These signals are processed in the hippocampus, a region of the brain crucial for forming new memories. To better understand our memory, it is divided into 3 stages. Encoding. The brain registers the information we receive, making sense of the stimuli. This happens more effectively when we pay attention or associate the information with something meaningful. Storage. The encoded information is stored either temporarily, short-term memory, or permanently, long-term memory. Long-term memory is strengthened through repetition and emotional relevance. Retrieval. When we need to access a memory, the brain searches for this information in the neurons and brings it back to consciousness. The more the information is used or revisited, the easier it becomes to access it. This process is supported by synapses, which are the connections between neurons. Now that we understand what memory means and how the memorization process occurs, let's start with visual associations. Have you ever wondered why we often struggle to remember details about someone or something? The reason is simple. We frequently don't make enough mental associations to aid in memorization. Our memory works like a network of connections. The more links we create, the easier it becomes to recall information. To increase your chances of retaining information, it's essential to link new data to vivid mental images. For example, imagine you know someone who loves to read. Instead of just remembering that this person likes books, visualize them inside a library. Even if you can't recall all the conversations you've had with this person, that mental image helps solidify the idea that they truly love reading. Creating these visual associations makes the information more concrete, and therefore easier to remember when needed. Active recall. When we receive new information, it's natural for us to forget it over time. This happens because our brain is bombarded with a massive amount of data every day, and without review practices, most of this information quickly fades from our memory. The forgetting curve illustrates this phenomenon, showing that without the practice of recalling, information retention decreases drastically over a short period. To keep memory alive and strong, it is essential to revisit information in several sessions over time. Imagine you've learned a new concept in a class. Instead of waiting until the day of the exam to review it, how about going over that material 1 day later, then again, a week later, and so on? This process of active recall not only solidifies what you've learned, but also transforms fleeting data into lasting knowledge. By actively recalling what you've learned, you create a stronger network of connections in your brain, making it easier to remember in the future. Remember, the more you practice, the firmer your understanding and ability to recall important information becomes. Now, let's explore the grouping technique. When studying, we often encounter large volumes of information that can seem overwhelming. Instead of trying to memorize everything at once, why not break that content down into smaller, more manageable parts? This approach helps your brain process and retain what you've learned more effectively. For example, imagine you are studying a chapter of a book. Instead of reading the entire chapter in one go, start by focusing on one page at a time. After fully absorbing the content on that page, you can move on to the next one. This method prevents mental overload and allows you to make deeper connections with the material. Thus, when you revisit the information, it won't feel like a confusing block of data, but rather a series of interconnected ideas that you can easily understand. Grouping not only facilitates memorization, but also makes learning more efficient and less stressful. Finally, let's talk about a technique called the memory palace, which can help you recall information easily and in an organized way. Imagine a place you know very well, like your home. Each of these spaces can be used to store the information you want to memorize. For example, if you're trying to remember a shopping list, visualize yourself walking through your house. In the kitchen, imagine the image of a fresh loaf of bread. In the living room, picture a pack of cookies on the coffee table. And in the bedroom, think of an apple on your nightstand. This way, each item is associated with a room where it could naturally belong. This technique works because our brain is better at remembering images and places than recalling long lists of information. By visualizing each item in a specific room, You create a path that makes it easier to remember. When you need to recall the shopping list, just picture yourself walking through your house and visualizing each of the items in the places where you stored them. This approach turns the process of memorizing abstract information into tangible and easy-to-recall representations. That's it for the video. If this helped you in any way, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content. See you next time.